Welcome to the August Council meeting for Warrnambool City Council, August 2025. Thank you for everyone who's joining us in the gallery, and thank you to everyone who's joining us online. If everyone could please stand for our first item, the opening prayer and the original custodian statement. Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of this city. Amen. And Council also acknowledges the Peak-Wurrong and Curry-Wurrong peoples of the Maar Nation, their land, waterways and skies within the Warrnambool municipality, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. Thank you everyone, please be seated. We'll move on to item 2, apologies. There are no apologies, and thank you to Councillor Edis for joining us online. We'll move on to item 3, confirmation of minutes. Can we have a mover that the minutes of the meeting scheduled to be held on the 7th of July 2025 be confirmed? Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Walsh. Were there any questions or concerns with any of them from any of the councillors? All right, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 4, declaration by councillors and officers of any conflict of interest. Are there any conflicts for any items on tonight's agenda? No, thank you. We'll now move on to item 5, the mayoral presentation. It has been a busy month. It was really great to see the story about Riley, the little fellow who wrote the letter about the airport in Warrnambool earlier in the month. And it's really exciting to see that, we are doing a lot of work around that. And we are working hard towards getting, the 15 million that we need to lengthen and strengthen the runway and work towards bringing back air passenger services back to the region. I also attended, another one that we attended as well was the AGM for Anglicare, and it's amazing to see all the work that they do and so many volunteers supporting so many across our community as well. It was really great to be invited, and it's really amazing to see all the work that they do, for so many in our community. And later in the month, we also were down for the Flavours of the World at the East Warrnambool Primary School, and a big thank you to Councillor Arnott and Councillor Walsh who attended as well. It was really great to see the primary school working towards that inclusivity across all the different cultures of their different kids that they had there, and it was amazing to see all the work that they'd done for that really good program. So that's the end of the mayoral presentation. We'll move on to item 6, public question time. Mr Mason, were there any questions?
There have been no questions submitted.
Thank you, Mr Mason. We will now move on to item 7, reports. 7.1, 93 Nicholson Street. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This planning application seeks approval for 12 dwellings and a subsequent 12-lot subdivision. The application has been through a number of iterations, and the proposal before council has been assessed by planning officers as being in compliance with the planning scheme. As such, it's recommended that the application be approved subject to a rather long list of conditions. So the application, the recommendation is before you on page 6.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions on this before we move to a motion? No? All right, do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Walsh. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. As our CEO has said, this has been a permit that has been in the planning department since 2014, so it really has been a long time. Just before I get started on my point of view regarding this, I do like to thank the applicant and the objectors. I think that throughout this period they've been very respectful of each other and trying to work through quite a difficult situation. Originally there was 14 dwellings, but now that has been reduced to 12 lots and common property. 4 of those lots are earmarked to be 3-storey dwellings, and it is difficult to come to terms with the fact that we're going to have such high density buildings in our city, which we haven't really had before. But we must acknowledge that we are a city that's facing a critical housing crisis, and supply of housing is virtually nil. Or as well, with the adoption of Clause 55, which has been put into the planning code, This will and can change the outcomes of many applications in the future. And knowing that this clause is there now, I think we have to be mindful that if this application is not supported as it is, that the opponents could actually end up in a much worse position. The 4 3-storey dwellings are at the back of the block, and I do feel that that is probably the best position for them. I do acknowledge that there is concerns regarding parking and rubbish collection. Having taken all this into consideration, I am happy to support this motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Arnott. Great summation of the issue and the considerations that we had. First off, I'd also like to acknowledge the objections that were received. As a council, each of these have been considered, have gone a long way to inform the decision-making that we are underway at the moment. There is a housing crisis in Warrnambool. We can't shy away from that. Development of this nature is needed, and this site is perfect for that. The developer has continually, to the best of their ability, worked to satisfy the objections received and has made a number of amendments to the plan, in which Councillor Arnott has touched on some of those. This is the ideal approach, and it means that a satisfactory outcome can be achieved. I acknowledge that some of the objectors will see this as being unsatisfactory. However, as a council, we need to balance what is the best way forward. And on that note, I support the granting of this planning permit for this development.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councillor
Mayor.
Walsh. Do we have any? Councillor Jelly?
Yes, thank you both councillors. We're all thinking along the same thing here. At Council's last formal meeting in July, a resolution was voted through in regard to Amendment VC 267 and Clause 55, allowing officers to approve 2 or more dwellings on a lot and apartments up to 3 storeys. This means that if a developer or applicant meets all the requirements for a planning permit and has 2 or 3 storey buildings, there can be no objections by neighbours. When we voted on that last month, I have got some issues with it, but it's legislation, so and our council agreed to that, which is fine. So I fear that this application we have before us tonight, if it's not given approval after numerous amendments, and again, I agree totally with my other colleagues that both sides of the applicant and the objectors have been very respectful. They've worked over the years really well together. So if we don't go through this tonight, that there is a possibility that the applicant could, if it was voted down, seek a new planning permit for this in the future, and if he complies with the new Clause 55 legislation, they could perhaps come back with a whole different plan that could have additional 3-storey dwellings on it, and it could be worse than what the offer is now. So that is why, even though I'm not 100% happy with it, although the applicant has cited the 3-storey dwellings in a good spot and looked at parking and rubbish. So that's why I will agree to support a grant of notice of decision to grant a permit.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Benter.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to concur with the fellow councillors that the ability to submit objections and in regards to the application is, pardon me, and the team working or planning, working with them to try to resolve some of the issues, and also the developer has been great. The biggest fear now is that Clause 55 has now taken that away, which is very disappointing. There's been a lot of little issues along the way with this development, and the planning team and everyone's been working proactive to address them, even down to the height of the trees. Yeah, I still have an issue with the parking. It may meet the code, but it's a minimum requirements. It will push parking out onto the streets. I've visited the site a couple of times, and the 2 houses that are already built there park on the nature strip. So it just precedent that they're just going to end up parking there. With that said, the housing is needed, and the planning team has spent a considerable amount of time making some amendments and changes or conditions to this application that nearly addresses it to 99%, but that parking is still a contentious sort of bit of an issue for myself. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Benter. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, I endorse the comments of all my fellows, Mayor, but again, I'm going to vote for this purely because, as Councillor Arnott quite ably pointed out, that the objectors are possibly likely to end up in a worse situation if the proponent of the permit actually decides to go for a permit with the new requirements of section 55, clause 55, sorry. So if we grant the permit now, that ability is taken away, and we're going to the best of the worst for the objectors.
Thank you, councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Edis.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I concur with everything every other councillor has said. And just noting, it is a dormant site. It has sat as an empty block of land for a long, long time, and we need development within the city. And it's also worth noting that the council officers have put a very stringent amount of compliance regulations within this permit, over 37 conditions that the applicant has to comply with. So I think all due diligence has been done in that regard, and happy to support the motion.
Thank you, councillor Edis. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to close?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I think everything has been said. I think all points concerning this application have been addressed, so I'm happy to give it a hand over to you for the vote.
Thank you. We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? That's passed unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 7.23, Ocean X Close. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a planning application for a single dwelling on a residential lot. A permit is triggered in this instance because of the existing land subject to inundation overlay. The application has been referred to the Catchment Management Authority, who have objected to the issue of a permit. Officers are recommending refusal in this case, and a recommendation is before you with 4 grounds of refusal.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions before we look for a motion? All right, do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to put forward an alternative motion in regard to this application on this agenda item. And that alternate motion is that council determined not to give notice under section 52 of the Planning Environment Act 1987, and having considered all the matters required under section 60 of the Planning Environment Act 1987, decides to issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for the construction of a dwelling and fencing under the relevant provisions of the Warrnambool Planning Scheme in respect of the land known and described as Lot 20, PS 904-859R, 3 Ocean X Close, Warrnambool, and that this alternate motion is inclusive of the grounds of the amendment and conditions that have been distributed to all councillors today, so that they are quite clear of its entirety.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Just to be clear, so you are moving a motion to approve this based on some conditions that have been emailed around to all of the councillors before now. That will be the motion, is that correct?
That's right. That's correct.
Yep. And after the meeting, if this is adopted, the conditions will be available because
Yes.
they'll be available in their public minutes anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just making 100%
Yep.
sure. Thank you, Councillor Jelly. So we have all seen it. It's been emailed around.
Yep.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott? Sorry, Councillor Benter. Sorry.
Sorry, I did.
Oh, you didn't. Sorry, Councillor Arnott.
There we
Sorry,
go.
I apologise. Councillor Jelly.
Thank you. This planning application before councillors has been a complex matter for all involved. On the 2nd of June this year, council passed a resolution not to accept and endorse the 2024 South Warrnambool flood study. With that resolution of council, applications for permits in this area should have then noted and used the previous study information and data, not the new data. In this application, the Glenelg Hopkins Catchment Management Authority have made their recommendation on that data from the 2024 study investigation, which was clearly not ratified by Warrnambool City Council. Our information reverts back to the current 2007 study information. The applicant at 3 Ocean X Close have collegiately tried to work closely with Warrnambool City Council on this matter for many months. They have elevated the area for the house to be built on and complied with any other aspects of the proposed build. In all the meetings and conversations the applicant has had with the council, I'm told that Glenelg catchment have not been present. It seems that the main issue for Glenelg catchment is the access way, the road, connecting from Younger Street into Ocean X Close. So with the rejection of the 2024 South Warrnambool flood study by council 2 months ago, I will support this alternate motion I've just put forward to issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for this application.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. So to my understand, very well put, Councillor Jelly. The issue here with this application has obviously been the access road. Now, the purchase of the land was back in the 25th of September last year, and shortly after that, titles were issued. The original planning permit was lodged on the 18th of October. Since then, a flood study was completed, but interestingly, it was not adopted by council. So obviously for this applicant, the goalposts had changed, which I don't think is fair. The applicant has raised the level of the house and it is in no danger of flooding, even if taken into account of the 2024 flood study. The only area of concern is the access road. Now, if flooding occurred to the extent that it is reported in the flood study that is not adopted by council, it is only the access road that is an issue. That flooding, if it does go to those levels, could subside in a number of hours, and it still may even happen at all. There has been a lot of scaremongering put around about this study, and I feel it is wrong that decisions are being made with data that council has not adopted. People's lives and futures have been deeply affected by this data, once again, that hasn't been adopted. That's like looking into a crystal ball to define their future. Therefore, I am fully supportive of granting this permit for the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Walsh.
Thanks, Mayor. First off, I'd like to acknowledge that there's been a great deal of work done across this whole area to enable some development to occur. Officers involved have done their utmost to support those who have been impacted. Both the council and Glenelg Hopkins CMA have a role to play to support progress through this development, which in my opinion quite possibly should never have proceeded in the first place. No one involved in this is apportioned any blame. Facts are facts. There is now an obligation owed to the landowners who in good faith have purchased land with the intention of building what might be their dream home. Council must support this as much as possible. At the end of the day, there is a people impact in this. That's something as a person I must consider. This could have easily been any one of us in this exact situation, through no fault of our own. In saying that, the flood investigation of the area will in the future need to be looked at again. The 2007 study is no longer accurate. The predicted flood levels will be closer to the 2014 mapping than they will be to the 2007 level. That is fact. Climate change is having an impact and will continue to do so. Again, the obligation remains. People in this development have been unfairly impacted by timing through no fault of their own. This particular property, and more importantly the roadway, had an existing flood overlay. That is the referral trigger in this case. This predicted overlay is one major area of concern that I have. The planning around the property with the conditions noted is appropriate to issue the permit. Access to the property, should the day come that we see a large flood, could be problematic to say the least. This will be something that will require continued assessment and consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Benter.
I'd just like to concur with the sentiments of the fellow councillors. Yes, it's been an ongoing roundabout. It's disappointing for the landowners to be involved in this, considering the timing and the processes that's gone on. And it's hard to understand that they were unaware of the potential of this flood study going on during this process when they purchased the land and were putting in planning applications. So I struggle with them not being aware of that, considering it was all ongoing at the time, where they could have been made aware. With that said, when they were aware, they've made changes from the 2007 levels to adequately be above the 2024 level that's been indicated in the last study. Yes, we haven't adopted that study, but they've taken it upon themselves to take that floor level to that height, which is great. The issue is the access to the property. Now, it's an odd one. With the flood mitigation, or the flooding and proposed floods along all the waterways, governments have got to put in emergency action plans, not just go, you can't build there. So it's no different to the fire, with the bushfire plan, it should be a water plan, as in to leave, get out. So effectively, Councillor Arnott said that peak water is only there potentially for a couple of hours. It's probably more like 12 to 24. But in relation to that, one time in 100 years, that they have to vacate their property, right, for that period, one day, to be deemed safe, no risk to nobody. And that's the CMA's biggest issue, is risk to public life. So if they've moved out, no different to a bushfire, get out, okay? So the policies or procedures as such for that should be in place, regardless of what's going on for the future as well. To be not able to build on that property because of 24 hours of water of one time in 100 years is madness. It should be acceptable to be able to build on, in my book. Okay, so, yeah, sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, concur with the remarks of all my colleagues here. I totally agree with this alternative motion. I think that this is a 1% chance, 1 in 100. There are far more riskier considerations in building a house. This is the Australian dream. These people have bought a block. They've made all the arrangements to avoid being underwater in their house. The access road issue is one that will be addressed at some point. Who's to say we haven't already had our 100-year flood in 1946? I mean, I'm going to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Edis.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I agree with everything my fellow councillors have said. I think 2 months ago, the majority of councillors voted to reject the flood study, and to not grant a permit based on that would be hypocritical. I think we make decisions that people may not like, people may think are wrong, people may think are right, but what we must maintain as council is consistency. And I think we need to remain consistent through this, and I will certainly be supporting the alternate motion by Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Councillor Edis. No other councillors to speak? Councillor Jelly, do you wish to add anything to close?
Thank you. Well, by the sound of all councillors here tonight, we're on the same path, same wavelength with this. I want to congratulate the applicants for amending the plans for their build. They didn't have to do that, but they have done that, so good on them for doing that. And if this is voted through in a moment, I wish them well with their build.
All right, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? That one is passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item... Thank you. We'll now move on to item 7.3, the Debt Management Policy 2025. Mr Mason.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Council has an existing debt management policy. The policy has been reviewed and recommendations...
Oh, you can hold on a sec.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for the gallery.
Thank you. Yeah, so as I said, Council has an existing debt management policy. This policy has been reviewed and recommendations from the Ombudsman and guidance from the Minister for Local Government in relation to the management of debt have been incorporated into the amended policy. And so a recommendation is before you on page 28.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler?
Yes, Mayor, I'll move that Council revoke the Debt Management Policy 2020 and adopt the attached Debt Management Policy 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler?
Yes, I'll support any move to help people who are struggling to pay their rates and assist them to manage debt, to assess key recommendations from the Local Government Rating System Review and the Ombudsman's investigation into how local councils respond to ratepayers in financial hardship. The words are all there. The fact is that people are struggling at present with all kinds of costs and of living. I think at this point, if we can do anything to support them in managing the debts through our rating system and our debt management, I'm more than happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, look, I agree with everything Councillor Ziegler has said. I just will reiterate that I think it is very important that we do have clear guidelines, and this document does give Council the ability to have some flexibility in negotiating arrangements with the individuals. So I think, you know, this working document I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? And I'd just like to add, it is really important from a debt management perspective that there are, and it's in here in black and white, there are options available to ratepayers because everyone does need support at different times in their lives. Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to add anything to close?
Just one final comment, Mayor, that I think it's, if this goes through, I think it's good that Council has more tools to allow a flexible approach to gathering the monies due from people in such a way that it's easier for the ratepayers who in good faith really do want to pay their rates. And if they're given a chance to do it in such a way that it's easier for them to do it, I'm all for that.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.4, the Creative Warrnambool Strategy 2025-2029. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Creative endeavours and creative industries are really good for cities. They contribute to the livability of cities. They make cities attractive and vibrant, and they're also good for local economies. The strategy before Council is the first creative strategy for this great city. It's been developed in-house and has received positive and constructive feedback from the community. It's recommended that the council adopt the strategy.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly?
Thank you, and a good summation from our CEO about it. This strategy is an exciting way.
A point of order, you've got to move the recommendation.
Oh,
Sorry.
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 Far ahead of myself.
I apologise. And I had a...
I was excited. Yes, I'm excited about it.
I'm sorry, Councillor Jelly.
apologise.
What are you moving?
Yes, I'd like to move that the council adopt the Creative Warrnambool Strategy 2025 and 2029.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Sorry. Councillor Jelly, continue.
No, thank you. Yeah. This strategy is an exciting way forward to provide support for fostering creativity in our community. We need to create new pathways to develop skills, spaces for performances, galleries, learning places, and we already have fabulous organisations within the city and individuals leading us to do this. So this is really going to grow on what we've already got. Congratulate all those who gave feedback on this. It's so important to help us build a strategy. When it was out for community consultation, that was really good. So through collaboration, investment and inclusive growth, the city will build a stronger and more connected, creative future. So I think it's very important.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Yes, thank you. Look, it is now we actually have a strategy and a measurable plan to continue to enrich our city's cultural development over the next 4 years. We are a city rich with a lot of creative people throughout all sectors, and a city, that has a diverse range of creativity and, has a strong effect within the community. Our community's more enriched, they're happier, and, the other thing is our community deserves all of this too. It's a really positive thing for the whole town, the whole city, so happy to support.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler?
Yes, Mayor, we already know that Warrnambool and Warrnambool region punches above its weight in this particular area, and anything that supports that, I'm 100% behind. I think that, in particular to the areas of developing a live music action plan, more places for people to exhibit and perform are all good things for the town. We've already proven over many years that Warrnambool is so much more involved in the creative arts than many other regional centres in proportion to its size. So I'm very, very happy to promote this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Mayor. Just echoing the comments of my colleagues, I'm also really excited to endorse this strategy. Some really good community engagement, some really valuable feedback that has not only been received but actually incorporated. So I think that's a really key thing there for the community to buy in and for the council officers to also take action on that. So I think that's really good. We're really lucky to have some wonderfully talented people in this region. The more we can do to grow and support them, we're going to get a lot back for that. The last thing I want to call out is great to see this strategy was developed in-house by our amazing staff, developed by people who know the area and the people involved. I think, they can really hang our hat on that.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Benter.
Yeah, I'd just like to concur with fellow councillors. I guess the biggest thing that got out of it was the community feedback that's been adopted into this plan and the engagement process. I reckon, it's really good, really good. Just goes to show that we are listening, implementing into the changes into the plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, I think we're, again, all on the same page. It's an exciting step forward for the city and our wonderful creative community. So look forward to see what develops from this strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. It is great to see this strategy really pushing our role as a leading regional creative city across the southwest. I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.5, which is the joint reseal contract 2025-2026 and 2026-2027. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Warrnambool City Council and Crangabutt Shire have for some time jointly procured bitumen sealing services. This approach delivers cost savings to both councils and is efficiencies, particularly around the procurement process. It's recommended that we again enter into a joint agreement and that council delegates to myself powers to enter into a contract following a tender process, which will be run by Crangabutt Shire. So recommendation in 4 parts before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Are there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thanks, Mayor. I wish to move the officer's recommendations as noted within the 4 parts.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler, Councillor Walsh.
Won't sort of say too much on this one, Mayor, but strength in numbers is obviously a good thing, in particular when it comes to road resealing. Pretty sure there's only one contractor that handles this sort of stuff, so if we can get a better deal by working with someone else, I think, I'm all for that. On another note around that, it is important to recognise that our roads, our council roads that we do look after and manage, are in good condition. So this is a maintenance activity. So, really happy for this one to come into play and make sure that our roads remain in a really high standard.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, I'll support anything that promotes efficiency and just makes sense that we delegate the authorities to the CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. All right, Councillor Walsh, you wish to add anything to close?
Nothing further, Mayor, thank you.
All right, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? That is passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.6, which is the Community Development Fund. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The Community Development Fund provides much-needed support to quite a number of communities, groups in the city. Following an application and assessment process, officers are recommending that funding of approximately $120,000 be allocated to 25 eligible groups. A recommendation is before you in 3 parts with the list of recommended community groups included in point 1.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Thank you. Sorry. I would like to move the recommendation of the officers for this one, please.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, this is a fantastic fund, great for the community, made available to support non-for-profit groups in the city for projects and activities that contribute to the city. There's so many great groups, and when you read through the list and what they're wanting to do, it's a wonderful fund that we're able to offer. There are clear guidelines to apply for these funds, which is it's been good for the groups to be able to do that and know if they fit the criteria or not. There were some fabulous applications from a variety of groups, such as the Warrnambool Historical Society, Surf Life Saving Club, Athletics Club, Toy Library and Warrnambool Repair Cafe, along with others. So I'd like to congratulate them all and thank them for contributing to our community in so many ways.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to congratulate the council staff who have screened the applications and found the most suitable of the applications. I think that every one of them that has received an approval well deserves the amounts they've been given.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott.
Yes, just concur with my fellow councillors. this is a way a council can help those small community groups and clubs, and most often these groups, don't have the ability to raise a lot of money to further their club or group. And these clubs play a really important role in the community. They provide social connection and they enrich the lives of those who participate as well as the wider community. So congratulations to all those successful groups and clubs, and I'll urge everyone to keep applying for this fund.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Edis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a fantastic program, and you see a lot of community organisations and clubs that their main hurdle that they have is finding funds, is whether it's through fundraising, sponsorship. Everyone's trying to take from the same pool, and it makes it very, very difficult. And although these individual costs aren't enormous for each club, they are enormous in the meaning that they have for the club. And I just want to note it's great to see that 3 applicants got the full amount for the minor capital works as well to do some infrastructure works, which is going to be important for those clubs moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor Edis. Councillor Benter.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to just concur with fellow councillors. Yes, it's a great initiative, and the council officers have done a pretty thorough report with this and the applicants. I'd like to just follow up with Councillor Edis's comment on the small grants, or the community grants for the small infrastructure part of it. We lost that last year, or the previous council, with the changes around with the small infrastructure fund, and having that ability in this is good, because a couple of the applicants have taken up on it. It's great.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Any other councillor wish to speak? And I'd just like to add too, it was really great to see how well this was subscribed. There was still 22,500 that will be rolled over to the following year. And I just encourage everyone to keep applying, because, whenever we see the leftover funds, we will roll it over, but you want to see it going out into the community. It's no point sitting here in council's coffers. Councillor Jelly, do you wish to add anything to close?
Yes, thank you, and you're right, Mayor. We want to utilise these funds. So, again, thank you to council staff who worked through this, because it must have been a big task with all the applications, making sure that they ticked all the appropriate boxes, giving assistance to the clubs and groups applying for this. So congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? That's passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.7, the Festival and Events Grant Program. Mr Mason.
Thank you. Similar to the creative industries, I think that festivals and events are really important for Warrnambool. They help showcase our wonderful assets, and they bring people and economic activity into the town. So this year, following an application process, groups were invited to apply for funding, assistance, and following an assessment process, it's been recommended by officers that 22 groups be awarded $190,000, or approximately $190,000 in funding. So recommendation again before you in 3 parts.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Walsh. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you. These events are really and truly important to Warrnambool. They keep us under the spotlight. They create events for people to come to. They do boost our local economy, and they help build the profile of Warrnambool, which is, we're trying to attract more overnight visitors to Warrnambool. So this is a way through a lot of these events. Although some of them are smaller, there's some quite larger ones in there as well. So I encourage the people, groups to apply for this funding, and keep Warrnambool in the spotlight. Keep us as the great town that we are.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Arnott, for that good summary. Events are so critical to Warrnambool, and I think it's great that we're able to fund 22 of various sizes. I'd just like to highlight, as all the councillors have put into our council plan, we continue to support the big events that make our town a great place to live in. Premier Speedway and all the fantastic things and people that it brings to the community. The Warrnambool Racing Club. Warrnambool is synonymous for the May Racing Carnival, which is a fantastic draw card for our town. The Melbourne to Warrnambool Cycling Classic, we're privileged to hold that one. Lifesaving Victoria, who again have chosen Warrnambool as the destination for their 2026 Junior Championships. Each of these major events continue to draw people to our great town. They work well in conjunction with those smaller ones, bringing in all different groups, young and old. And one of the really key things is it's not just focusing on summer. They're spread across all seasons. Six to take place in summer, 5 in autumn, 2 in winter and 8 in spring. It's a really good spread and gives a really good opportunity to not only attract people to town, but also attract the locals out of their houses.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott, do you wish anything to close?
No, thank you. I think all's been said. Thank you.
We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.8, which is the... Sorry, I've lost my agenda. Brierley Sports and Community Hub amended plans. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. The Brierley Sports and Community Hub is a much-needed piece of infrastructure in a growing part of Warrnambool and servicing non-traditional sports. Unfortunately, we've been unsuccessful in obtaining particularly federal government funding for this project, which has led to a review of the plans. We have attempted to try and reduce the size and therefore cost of the building to make it, we think, hopefully more likely to receive that much needed funding. So it's not a radical review or change, but one where we think that we will, by repitching it and resizing it, we can make it more likely to get funding support. So a recommendation in 3 parts before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. With any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Wish to move the officer's recommendation as noted in the 3 parts.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Edis. Councillor Walsh.
Thanks, Mayor. The CEO put this really clear. I think it was a good opportunity to right-size the project. We're in a very competitive market in terms of seeking funding from both state and federal government. I think this fits the brief. This is a key piece of infrastructure that we, as a council and a town, we really need. We've got a really good quality surface for the sports that are using it. We need that facility to follow along not long after. So a great opportunity for us to take a really good look at that, reduce some of the cost and really start to shop that out in front of people's eyes and start to attract some of that funding. So I'm really looking forward to getting, hopefully, this new amended plan approved.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Edis.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree with everything Councillor Walsh says. I think this has been a great piece of work by council to just go back and review the building. You always strive to get the best you can and the biggest and the brightest, but we've got to look at the availability of funding, having been unsuccessful, and be realistic in what our goals are and what we can achieve. So by reducing by almost 300 square metres in total of the building, it's going to reduce costs of up to over $1 million in today's market terms at the moment. So I think it's been a great bit of work to be done. The timing's right with funding to come out in election next year, that hopefully we will see this important project for Warrnambool be funded.
Thank you, Councillor Edis. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, agree with everyone. I think it was good to re-look at this project. It's a really important project, especially with the Eastern Oval development. They're fantastic, so we need to get some change rooms, toilets and the hub part planned. and look for state and federal funding. It's the updated design. We've lost a little bit of square meterage there, but I think we've still got everything incorporated in it to fit in, and it's a bit more appropriate and cost effective.
Thank you, councillor Jelly. Any other councillor? Councillor Arnott.
Yes, agree with everything my fellow councillors have said. I think we're just being sensible and being prudent. I think by scaling this back in the meterage, it may appear more attractive for federal and state funding. It is a very important piece of infrastructure, but I think what we're doing is just being prudent. So happy to support.
Thank you, councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? I still think it's still very functional, and it is a really important piece of community infrastructure. We have the new ground, as councillor Walsh has touched on, but we need the sports facilities and the community hub for the growing North Warrnambool. East Aberline's progressing when it comes to a precinct, and it's going to become more and more critical and continue to grow across our city, the need. So it is something that needs to be, we will continue to work hard to source funding to get this delivered sooner rather than later. Councillor Walsh, do you wish to add anything to close?
Just picking up on the East of Aberline impact that you just mentioned, Mayor, and I'm glad you did, because that's a really key part of this as well, and the predicted growth that we're going to have out in that area. This will really support that and lift that up. So I think, really good opportunity.
Thank you. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.9, the Road Management Plan Review. Mr Mason.
Thanks, Mayor. This is a statutory requirement. The council has a road management plan. The existing plan has been reviewed and a number of relatively minor changes identified. It's recommended that the plan be put out for public submissions with an expectation that this will be adopted before the October, or at the October council meeting.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thanks, Mayor. I wish to move the officer's recommendation as noted.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Walsh.
Thanks, Mayor. As Mr Mason touched on, it is a regulatory document which council is required to have. I'm happy to put it out for community consultation and allow some public submissions on the draft for the 28-day period. As we always bang on about in here, community consultation is extremely important. We'd like people to provide us with the feedback, so, please take the opportunity whilst it's out for consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, we say yet again, please, community, comment on this particular issue so that we can make the right decision ultimately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? It is important that we do have tolerances in the service level, and this is our suggested ideas for the service levels of our roads. So do please take your time to have a say, because council roads, they do spread across the whole municipality, remembering that the major arterials, especially Princess Highway, Mortlake Road, are state government managed roads, not ours. Councillor Walsh, do you wish to add anything to close?
Nothing further from me. Thank you, Mayor.
We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.10, the Council Plan Actions 2024-2025. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This report finalises and reports on the council plan actions for the previous financial year, and in doing so effectively closes out the council plan that was adopted by the previous council, noting that you adopted a council plan at your June council meeting. So the recommendation is that you receive the report.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Are there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'd like to move that the council plan actions 2024 to 2025 and the April to June Q4 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Walsh. Councillor Arnott.
Well, this is actually a really good piece of, what can I say, a really good piece to talk to. Sorry, I've got a bit tongue-tied there. It's really heartwarming to see the amount of work that the council staff has actually got through, and it's an amazing yearly result, actually. So I'd like to congratulate the CEO, exec team and all staff for managing to complete the amount of work that they have done. And across all pillars, we've done a really good job. You know, our healthy community, a sustainable environment, a strong economy, a connected and inclusive place, and an effective council. In all areas, we have managed to complete probably over 90% of the goals that we had set. So I think that's a great achievement. Some of the key factors that I probably have a strong interest in have been what the economic team have achieved. Development plans are under assessment for the north of the Merri growth area. Discussions are underway to amend development plans at Hopkin Heights and Gateway Park. They're working with developers and implementing development plans and managing contributions across growth areas, particularly north of the Merri. They've had workshop training opportunities for business, and they've offered business mentoring opportunities. The Allansford Strategic Framework Plan is currently being implemented. The Bushfield-Woodford Strategic Framework Plan is currently out for final consultation. The Eastern Activity Centre Structure Plan continues to be implemented, and the council officers continue to work with the VPA in the development of the Eastern Aberline precinct. The Warrnambool Foreshore Framework Plan has been completed, and a number of events have been held throughout Warrnambool. Once again, my pet, the Salters Search Party. Everyone's going to laugh, but we had a record crowd of 6,000 people, so that gives us something to work on and grow. Our May Racing Carnival attracted 28,500 people. We had a junior squash tournament, the Warrnambool City Pickleball Tournament, and a yoga festival. There are so many more things I could speak to about the many great things that our city is achieving. A lot of work goes unseen. It's not always seen by the public. Work like laying the foundation for our city growth. And all in all, we have a city and a community that we can be proud of. So thank you to everyone involved for the work.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Arnott, for that very detailed council plan actions overview. You probably haven't left me much to say, but that's okay. I'm happy to,
Sorry, I got the raves.
I won't go into as much detail as Councillor Arnott because he's really covered off everything really well, especially the event stuff. The event stuff is really important to Warrnambool, and people are itching to attend events, and I think we're doing a fantastic job with that. I'll second the Solstice Search Party. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely looking forward to next year, and also the fire night that's not far away. I think that's a great one, so mark that in the calendar. Nearly every objective that we set out to achieve, we did achieve. You should never, no one's ever perfect, so I think the fact that there's a couple we haven't done, that's a good thing. We should always strive for more. So I really just want to tip my hat to all the officers that have worked across the various objectives and initiatives. I think we've done a fantastic job. Looking forward to obviously moving on to our new council plan and some of those new things that as a new councillor I've had a lot more involvement in. So I'm really looking forward to to what that Q1 council action plan actions look like when we do get the opportunity to see that.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Jelly?
Yes, I won't go through what everyone else has said because we agree there. I just really want to reiterate our thankful to CEO, executive officers, staff from every area within council. It's not councillors doing this work, it's the staff being led by a great team doing this work, and I want to, thank them for doing that. It benefits so many people, everything that's achieved, and I think it's something we can all be very proud of.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak?
It's all been said.
Councillor Arndt, do you wish to add anything to close?
I think I've probably said enough, thank you.
We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to items 7 and 11, which is the Advisory Committee and Reference Group reports. Mr Mason?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a very procedural report. Recommend with reporting back to councils on the outcomes of the Cycling Reference Group meeting, and a recommendation you receive those records.
Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler?
Yes, Mayor, I move that the record of the Cycling Reference Group meeting held on Wednesday, the 2nd of July, be received.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Walsh. Councillor Ziegler.
Just quickly, I'll make comment that I'm amazed at how comprehensive and involved the Cycling Reference Group is. It's marvellous that they have so many items of interest in their agenda and are so committed to cycling and all aspects of cycling around the city. I think it's marvellous, and it's wonderful that their contribution is made.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. As the council representative for the Cycling Reference Group, I just want to thank each of the members for the time they're investing into the reference group. Some great, robust conversation at the last meeting, with a view on how we can protect vulnerable road users. I think that's really important there, that vulnerable road users. That's essentially what cyclists, pedestrians, motorbike riders, that is what they are, they're vulnerable. Some really key things that we discussed were around electric scooters, which is for anyone who's been around town, that's starting to become, or could become, a problem. There's a lot of misconceptions, lack of information that currently exist, and there was some discussion around whose role it is to inform the community around that. So I thought that was a valuable conversation. What things can we put in place to protect cyclists and separate them where practical, in particular around some of those trouble spots. We also had quite a frank conversation around some of the poor road behaviour that is occurring and how we can kind of work to reduce that. So an important reference group. It's great to hear from people, cyclists who do all different types of cycling. I do the occasional cycle with a couple of kids. It's certainly different to some of the other cyclists that we have out there, but it's important to make sure that everyone's considered when we're looking at these things. So,
thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thanks, Mayor.
All right, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? That's passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.12, which is the informal meeting of council. There's the reports from the 3 informal meetings of council over the month. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh, do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly, were there any questions or concerns with that? We'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll move on to item 7.13, the Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activity Summary Report. Were there any questions on that? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Did anyone wish to speak on any of that? I will add, and I forgot to put in my mayor report, is I would like to say a really big thank you to Councillor Jelly for going up to Shepparton this month, and I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have forgot. Warrnambool won the Top Tourism Award for Victoria, and it was great to see that we finally got the top gong after coming second last year, and now we're off to the national titles in September up in Canberra. So keep voting, keep working on it, because I reckon we're the top tourism town. I reckon we can get it. All right, were there any other councillors that wish to speak? We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 8, notices of motion. Mr Mason.
No notices of motion.
We'll move on to item 9, general business. Did anyone have any general business they wanted to bring up tonight? No. Item 10, are there any
No.
urgent business items?
Nothing.
All right, can we get a mover to suspend standing orders to allow members of the public to depart? Councillor Walsh, do we have a seconder? Councillor Jolly, all those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much to the gallery, and thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll be back here next month.